Charlie Baltimore reveals Biggie's last words. Diddy and Faith set up exposed. You guys don't know who Faith is. Faith Evans. I'm going to just say allegedly. It'd be a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know in this industry. A lot of people have better relationships with others, if you know what I mean. Some people be working behind people back. You just never know. It's always something shady going on. And, you know, they were saying that, I think it was Biggie's mother who said that Biggie really didn't like Puff like that. And, you know, they make more money off the artists when they're gone. Puff owned all Biggie's music. We ain't gonna waste no more time. Let's jump right into it.
He said, but I'm about to get this money. So he showed me, I said, you about to get that money? He said, yeah, look at this. It had Charlie Baltimore, Cameron, Little C's, Little Kim,
Gene Deal,
Junior Mafia, Tracy, I don't know, Tracy Murray,
Tracy Lee.
Tracy Lee, and the Commission. And I think the contract was for so many years for like 62 million. It comes out to like $62 million. I was like, that's what I said. I'm like, damn.
Did y'all hear that? Charlie Baltimore is one of the people Biggie wanted to leave with when he was planning to leave Diddy's Bad Boy Records for a whopping $62 million contract. And word on the street is that Biggie confided in Charlie Baltimore about his plans and some other explosive truths. I'm talking about secrets involving Diddy and even his own wife, Faith Evans. And
do you know how much trust has to go in that? You know, because when you're in the industry and you start to see things for what they really are, the number one thing is it's hard to trust people. So for Biggie to confide in her, that's huge. That's huge. And you know, normally people will say, I'm going to go to the grave with this.
this wasn't just pillow talk, by the way. These were confessions, allegations, possibly even warnings. But you know what's even better than that? With Diddy now going through his trial, Charlie allegedly feels like it's high time she let us in on exactly what Biggie told her. Based on reports, Charlie has been saying behind the scenes that both Diddy and Faith Evans knew exactly what happened to Biggie, which is why Faith has been out here defending Diddy when it comes to Biggie's death.
What I know is that Puff would never have Big. Puff would never be involved in one of his best friends. Mm-hmm. That's outside of him being his artist. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm
But you see what she just said there? One of his best friends. And then Biggie's mother said that Biggie didn't really like him like that. So, you see what I mean? Ooh-wee.
saying? Mm-hmm. That was like, you know, their relationship was something that I don't have that relationship with Puff. So, you know, that's never been something that
Guys, you better get comfortable, because if what is being said is true, Faith is one of those who will be going down with Diddy. Okay, just for a bit of background, Biggie and Charlie's relationship began in the winter of 1995, and Biggie played a significant role in Charlie Baltimore's entry into the music industry. Apparently, she once left a rap verse she had written on his voicemail, and he encouraged her to pursue a career in rap music.
He said he never met a female that could write the way I could write. But that was always like my, I guess, favorite part of the whole thing was the actual writing. Not so much the rhyming, but the writing. And I think he appreciated that because he was such a prolific writer.
You know, Biggie even envisioned forming a hip-hop trio called The Commission that would include himself, Charlie Baltimore, and Jay-Z. But these plans were tragically cut short by Biggie's death in March of 1997. Well, that relationship was also something else. And Charlie even opened up about how Biggie cheated on her. And she has even publicly recounted discovering explicit photos of Biggie with another woman, which led to a heated altercation and the trashing of a hotel room. And she also recalled throwing his jewelry into a pool out of jealousy. Charlie has also spoken out about how Biggie got Faith Evans pregnant when they were together, and how Biggie was initially scared to tell her about the pregnancy, and she learned about it from his mother.
Honestly, I think it was his mom that told me. I don't even think it was him. Like his mom was, telling him, you need to tell her what's going on. And, and I guess he was kind of scared to tell me. And if I'm not mistaken, it was her that told me. And I was just kind of like, in shock. I mean, we would have moments in our relationship where we would break up for short periods of time. I think the longest was maybe a month, 2 months. But, we definitely would have our little spats and go into our on again, off again stage. So I think the way he tried to explain it was, it happened during one of our on again, off again situations.
Well, during the time when they were together, Biggie opened up to Charlie about a lot of things, apparently including his plans to leave Bad Boy and take her with him to the new record label. Allegedly, Biggie even revealed to Charlie that he was scared for his life because of the move he was about to make. And this is allegedly what Charlie has been spilling. And you know what's even worse? The streets are also saying that Faith Evans may have been involved with Biggie's death. I mean, remember when Faith Evans was asked if there was any truth to the allegations that Diddy had something to do with Biggie's death, and she defended Diddy? She actually said that their relationship was special, and even she never had such a tight relationship with Biggie. And according to Faith, there was no way anyone could remotely piece the puzzle of Big's untimely death together with that conspiracy.
I mean, I know without a doubt that if that's the case, then we would have sued Puff a long time ago.
Right.
If we felt that way. You don't think they haven't tried to get us to do that?
Yeah, I watched
I'm
the
just
episode
saying,
with
in real life. But we know better than that.
But ask yourself this: why would Faith insist that the relationship between Biggie and Diddy was great when literally everyone else said that it wasn't, and that Diddy may have been involved in his death? This is where I'm coming from, guys. You all remember when Rolling Stone released one hell of an article about Diddy that apparently took 6 months to put together? There was actually a lot of tea in there about Biggie, with several people confirming that he was indeed planning to leave Bad Boy Records. For instance, Monique Bunn, a hip-hop photographer from back in the day, specifically said that Biggie was planning to leave Bad Boy and was negotiating for his publishing rights. In fact, people who took part in the interview said that in the aftermath of Biggie's death, Diddy reportedly pressured Bad Boy employees to focus on the marketing and album sales of Biggie's release, Life After Death. Like, he was not even grieving and was obsessed with the album being the best-selling album. To make matters worse, Diddy also tried to steal Biggie's shine, and there's an incident that was narrated by Kirk Burroughs claiming that Rolling Stone approached Bad Boy with the opportunity for Biggie's legacy, but instead, Diddy wanted the spot. Kirk said he was telling Diddy, "Let's make it Biggie. You still have a chance for a cover in the future." But Diddy responded, "No, he's dead. I'm putting out Combs' debut album, No Way Out, in July. I need to be on the cover of Rolling Stone." And just like he wanted, Diddy ended up on the 1997 cover of the publication titled Puff Daddy, the New King of Hip Hop. It's the audacity of having B.I.G. written on his chest on that cover for me. And get this, the Rolling Stone article also highlighted that 2 years after the cover dropped, Diddy did an interview with them where he admitted Biggie's death made him millions. He told them, "I think his passing added to the fame."
There it is. There it is. Like, you notice, like, a lot of these artists pass away when they're like, when they're like literally viral. Not even at the top of their game, because you know they're on their way, but they're just like, I'm just thinking of all the artists. You have that 27 Club. These people be having hit after hit after hit after hit. Really look at that. I think his passing added to the fame. That's wild.
At least 2 million of the nearly 5 million copies of No Way Out sold were due to his death, straight up. And that doesn't necessarily feel good, but that's the reality. In addition, Kirk Burroughs also shared that Diddy had a certain jealousy of Biggie's friendship with Tupac before they started feuding. Allegedly, Diddy wanted a friendship with Pac, but Pac wasn't interested because he didn't have any kind of respect for Diddy. At this point, it's probably safe to assume that Diddy was the one who initiated the beef, because Kirk also said that Diddy is the one who pushed Biggie to write beefy songs. He even released released Biggie's single Who Shot Ya in 1995 because he knew that it would be viewed as a jab at Pac. Well, even Biggie's own mother, Valletta Wallace, knew something was not right. Remember, Biggie's mom always said when she was alive that there was definitely foul play in Biggie's death. First of all, she talked about how Biggie was exploited by Diddy in her 2005 book, Biggie. Valletta Wallace remembers her son Christopher, where she wrote, "The truth is, Christopher accepted the illusion of a friend and mentor for about $25,000. That's the amount Puffy lured my son with. That was a lot of money for Christopher back then as a 19-year-old. He had never seen that much at one time in his life. It was enough money to make my son believe that Puffy was ready to do anything for him. It was enough to buy a blind love and loyalty." Then she said a few times that she was convinced the LAPD conspired to keep the details of what happened to her son hidden, and she actually talked very boldly about that belief. Like, there was a time when she did an exclusive with Daily Mail and talked about how every single day was just painful for her and the rest of the family. She said, "It hurts me every single day to know what happened to Christopher and that I won't ever see him again. And it's not just me that's devastated. His sister Tiana hurts every day because of his loss. As a family, we've collectively grieved, and it doesn't ever get any better for us. Any mother who has lost a child know exactly the devastation I feel. It's the worst pain in the world, and one that I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. He was so young, so talented, and his life was taken far too soon. It's unnecessary that Christopher lost his life at just 24. He was my baby, and I think about him every day. When it comes to the anniversary of the passing of his death, I don't really like to talk about it. I know there will be a few tributes in honor of Christopher, and that's great he's still remembered, but it's very tough for me and my family." She actually said that the LAPD detectives who investigated the case know who is responsible for her son's death, but a conspiracy prevents the case from ever being solved. Miss Valletta said she knew the LAPD did their investigation and found out what happened, but they just refused to move forward, and she didn't know why they had not arrested who was involved. According to her, she said it seemed to her that it was one giant conspiracy and someone was definitely being protected. In her words, "I have a very good idea who unalived Christopher, and I genuinely believe that the LAPD know exactly who did too. They've done their investigation, but they just refuse to move forward. I don't know why they haven't arrested who was involved. It seems to me that it's one giant conspiracy and someone is definitely being protected somewhere down the line. There's no closure for me until that person is behind bars and sentenced. That may give me some closure to grab onto, but it sure won't ever bring my son back." In addition, Valletta also talked about agreeing to be a part of the project City of Lies, which centers around the corruption involved in suppressing the investigation, and she actually opened up more about the corruption involved, saying that she agreed to participate in City of Lies not only to honor Biggie's music, but for Russell Poole, who died in the middle of the investigation. Then in a different interview, Valletta also told Entertainment Weekly, "As long as I have life, there's hope. I'll never give up, and I hope when I'm not in this world anymore, my friends and family will carry on the fight. There is always hope." I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out that she was talking about Diddy, right? So how is it that only Faith Evans was the one saying something different? Well, allegedly, if you ask Charlie Baltimore, she will tell you it's because Faith knows exactly what happened to Biggie. And I have also seen reports suggesting that she also thinks Faith knows how Diddy was involved in Biggie's death. Who knows? Maybe this is why Faith keeps defending Diddy. And if word on the street is anything to go by, Charlie is not about to let it slide. I'm not sure what else she has to say, but you let me know if you also think Faith was involved in.
Look, I know, Diddy's on trial right now for, everything he's alleged of, but it's so much more. It is so much more. And what I mean by that is like people who possibly could be involved, people who knew things, who know things. I'm telling you, if this man gets out, if he's proven to not to be innocent, watch how many people. Just watch the people who are around him. Still, that's going to be very important. And remember, his team has already acknowledged that with all that domestic stuff, said like, yeah. So think about that, especially the women that'll still be around him, knowing how he can get. Very important to watch. Maybe they know something we don't. Appreciate y'all coming over and watching. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.